Hello everyone, in today's video, this video here will be for one of my subscribers. I guess this person just started learning Chinese, so he asked me if I can go over some basic things in Chinese, such as tones, and there's this word they use for able. You're able to do something. I'm going to explain those, how to differentiate those three different words, okay? And yeah, the tones. Yeah, tonations are, especially if you're a native English speaker, tonations can be a difficult thing to, they can be difficult to tackle. For me, when I first started learning Chinese, I had some problems with tonations, and I didn't really study the tones that well, so I had kind of picked up some bad habits, and sometimes I still have some problems with tonations, despite the language only having 5 tones. But as I mentioned before, that's at the beginning. You want to try to, because tones, I don't really consider those accents. That doesn't have anything to do with accent. But at the tonation, you have to have the sounds. It's like it will have different meaning if you don't use the right tone. So it is important at the beginning to really work on those tonations. Okay, and like I said, like me learning various different languages. Well, first of all, let me tell those of you who are just beginning Chinese, or you guys are thinking about learning Chinese, but you guys are afraid to learn because someone told you that Chinese was the most difficult language, the hardest language in the world. First of all, I'm gonna tell you that most people that say that they say that their own language. Let's say if Chinese is my native language, okay, and I tell you that Chinese is the most difficult in the world. The reason why I would say this is because A, I don't study languages. I don't study I don't study languages, and B, I love my own language, so of course I'm gonna say my language is the hardest in the world. Chinese is not the hardest language in the world, okay? So make you guys feel better, if you want to learn Chinese, it's not the hardest in the world. And like I mentioned before, there's no such thing as one language being the hardest in the world, because I like to look at all languages in different aspects, okay? Because you have certain languages that, like for example, okay, let me compare Chinese and Arabic, okay? I'll say Chinese is harder in the writing and reading, of course, because of the characters. And pronunciation is pronunciation can be, well, I think Arabic and Chinese probably, well, no, Chinese is probably a little bit more difficult than Arabic as far as pronunciation. Grammar, Arabic's grammar is a lot more complicated than Chinese. So I like to look at languages like this in different aspects and say, okay, this language is difficult in this area. I don't just say, well, overall this language is the hardest in the world, because you have to make a comparison. You have to compare these languages with others, and I think it's only for I don't think people who don't study multiple languages, I don't think they have the right to say that a certain language is the hardest in the world, unless they've studied over 20 or 30 languages, more than 30 different languages. Then that's when they will realize, well, by that time they will have realized that there isn't a hardest language. You just have one language that say, okay, this aspect is what makes it the hardest, okay, but overall it's not the hardest. So I think Chinese, out of all the languages, the writing and reading is probably the hardest, okay, but as a whole, it's not the hardest language in the world. The writing and reading is probably the hardest in the world, but the overall language is not. So for those of you who are beginners, that's not Chinese is not the hardest in the world, okay. More on tones, Chinese only has 5 tones, okay. Chinese only has 5 tones, and once you I thought that was a lot. I thought 5 tones was crazy, but then like I started studying Cantonese, Vietnamese, and Hmong. Once you touch Vietnamese, once you start studying Vietnamese, Hmong, Cantonese, then that's when it starts getting crazy. Thai has about the same amount of tones as Chinese. but Hmong has 8 tones. Okay, Vietnamese has 7 tones, and I believe Cantonese has 8 tones. I believe someone said 9. It's 8 or 9, 8 tones, I believe. But Hmong, yeah. So Vietnamese is, in the pronunciation, I think Vietnamese is harder than Chinese. The only thing that makes Chinese harder than Vietnamese, again, the characters. And I believe Vietnamese, they used characters a long time ago, but they stopped using them. So there are a lot of things to look at, you know, when you try to compare different languages. So, okay, so tones, we're going to talk about these tonations here. And you'll get, it doesn't take that long. Like if you study the tones, study them diligently, and you keep listening to the audio, I'll say no more than no more than 2 weeks. You should get you should be used to these tones. Maybe shorter, depending on how much time you spend on these tones, okay, and listening, practicing. So it shouldn't take you that long to get used to these tones here. All right. So let's see. What should I start with first? All right, let's start with the sounds of these tones here, okay? So as I mentioned before, Chinese has 5 tones. All right, there are 5 tones. So I'm going to use this word Mao and show you guys these different sounds here. Okay, so we have first tone here. We have first tone, second tone, third tone, and fourth tone. I'm going to explain some stuff about fifth tone here afterwards. So, okay, so Mao, okay, so let me get my throat right here. Okay, so starting from the first tone, so it's Mao, 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 Mao. Okay, so again, different meanings here. Okay, so this Mao first tone means cat. Mao second tone means anchor of a ship. And Mao is rivet, this thing that you use to, it's some sort of a button you use to clamp metal together, a rivet. Mao. And then Mao, it means to emit something, emit. So as you can see, the meaning will change. Okay, so it's very important to work on these tones. Alright. Now the fifth tone here, you have certain words in Chinese that you have fifth tone, okay? And a good example is, okay, if you look up in a dictionary, I'll take this Chinese dictionary here, okay? So this Chinese dictionary, let's say there are certain words you look up. For example, we want to look up mother or mama. So mama, mama. What you're going to see in pinyin, okay, you're going to see this ma is the first tone, of course, and then the second one, mama, mama. It's funny because these two characters are the same, but the second one is fifth tone. So when you see this word without a mark, it's telling you that this is first tone. I mean, this is fifth tone. Mama, mama, mama. Okay, second one, and this means mother. Okay, mom. And then the second one, 孩子, 孩子, 孩子. So second tone here and another fifth tone, 孩子. So you can kind of hear it. It's not don't mix it up with the fourth tone. It's not. It's like it's 孩子. It's not 孩子, but 孩子, 孩子. 孩子, mama, mama. Okay, so that second part is a fifth tone. Alright. Next one, the. And this is the possessive. This is possessive. Oh, did I tell you the meaning? 孩子, 孩子. 孩子 means children or child. Children or child. 孩子. Okay. Oh. The next one, the. And this is a possessive particle here. You use it for possession. The. And for example, 我的, 我的, mine. 你的, 你的, 他的, 他的, hers or his, or its, 他的. So the, that's fifth tone. The is fifth tone. Again, another word, you want to look up father, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba. The second one is fifth tone. All right, ba ba, ba ba. Okay. So yeah, just practice those a little bit. You'll get used to them. So yeah, so that you have your fourth tones, or four tones here, and then you have your fifth tone, words in the fifth tone. Of course, the second part, man, the second part. Now another thing I want to go over is these certain tonations being next to each other. Now this is a problem I had when I was learning Chinese. Okay, this is a big problem here because I couldn't. It was difficult. All right. So for example, let's take this here. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah. So you have two, as you can see here, you have two third tones together. All right. So what's going to happen? If you have two third tones like these two here? What you're going to do is take this third tone, it's going to change it to the second tone. Okay, it won't be 我写. It even sounds weird if you try to put two third tones together, it sounds weird. 我写, it sounds weird if you try that. Okay. Okay. So this 我 here is, you're going to drop this one and add, it's going to turn to the second tone. So it'll be 我写, 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 我写. Okay. Now, you see we have three third tones. Okay. So this one, like I said, this one is going to be second. 我写. This one won't change. It's going to stay third tone. You don't have to change that. Okay. So we have 我写给他一封信. 我写给他一封信. So 我写给他一封信. All right. So I wrote a letter for her or him or whatever. Okay. So 我写给他一封信. 我写给他一封信. So this was tricky here because you have three third tones. Okay, so you're going to change this first one to the second tone. 我写给他, and this one will stay the same. You don't have to change it. All right. So what else do we have? Okay, so this next one. 我收到了一封航空信. 我收到了一封航空信. So where is that? Oh, okay, it's down here. So 我收到了一封航空信. So this here, this L is a fifth tone. 到了, as you can see, there's no mark. It's a fifth tone there. Okay. 我收到了一封航空信. So I received a letter. Yeah, I received a letter. Hong Kong is like I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, by plane or some kind of a, yeah, Hong Kong 信. Yeah, 我收到了一封航空信. Okay. Now, here's some more combinations here. You have, you have third tone and then you have second tone. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read these for you. All right. Okay, so this one here. 我不忙. 我可以吃饭. 我不忙. 我可以吃饭. Yeah, 我可以吃饭. that is really tricky. So 我可以. So here you have 我可以吃饭. So now this is a bit different here because before I told you that you drop this. This is going to turn to a second tone. So 我写给他. You're going to make this into a second tone, and these are going to stay third tones. But down here, it's going to be 我可以. So this is going to stay in a third tone, okay? This is going to stay third tone, but here, 可以, this is one whole word. This word is together. It means like able to. These aren't separate words. So you're going to change this here, the 可, make that into a second tone, and then keep it third. So here on the second letter, so it'll be 可以. So 我可以吃饭. 我可以吃饭. All right. So the reason why this is not going to become a second tone is because this letter here, or this word, is together. This is one whole word. So you don't have to change this to a second tone. Now here is different because these are separate words. This is I, write, give. As in here is I can, I am able to. Alright? So keep that in mind. If you have like three separate, if they're separate like this, then you have to change the first third tone to a second tone. Okay? But if it's if it's like this here, you have two separate words. Like you have 我 and then you have 可以. Let's look at the second part, okay? Let's not look at 我, okay? Let's look at the second part. So here, she gave, okay? These are different. All right, these are different words. They are not together. Now look down here, this second part. 可以, this is one whole word. All right. So what's going to happen is, since these two words are different, they're not the same. You have to change this 我 to the second tone. So 我写给他. Okay, so it's going to change here. Why? Because these two words here, they're different. All right, they're not together. So you're going to have to change this to the second tone. Now here, this is a whole word. So just focus on. So you're just going to focus on this whole word here and change the. You're still going to change the third tone to the second tone. Okay. So 可以, second tone here, and third tone. But you won't do anything to this 我 here because this is its own word. It's not separate. I hope I explained that right. So, or I hope I explained it clearly for you guys. All right, so 我不忙, 我可以吃饭. 我不忙, 我可以吃饭. All right. Okay, so this next one. 我不老, 我能走. 我不老, 我能走. Okay, so I'm not old. I am able to go. I can go. I'm not old. I can go. So it's like, despite me being old, I can go. Despite me not being old, I'm able to go. Whereas I'm not. Okay, so I'm not old. I can go. I'm not old. I can go. Okay, so you have this third tone with second, so it'll be 我能. So make sure when you have this third and second tone, it'll be 我能. Okay, so 我不老, 我能走. 我不老, 我能走. Okay, so those are tones for you right there. They're pretty tough at the beginning, but like I said, you just spend a week or two on them and you'll get them down. They're not that bad. Okay, so I have some other stuff on the marker board. This is going to be about the ables, the potentials, and I have to kind of explain each one of them because it seems that certain people are using them in the wrong way. So in Chinese you have 能, 可以, and 会. All right. Now, 能, that 能 is able to do, even though. And my example sentence here is 我能吃饭. We used that before. 我能吃饭. Okay? I can eat. I am able to eat. Alright? I am able to eat. So, the meaning behind this, okay, it's able, but like, let's say you're able to eat something despite, let's say it's the food is too spicy, okay? Despite it being spicy, you can eat it. So if I offered you something, if I gave you a bowl of soup or something, and it was very spicy, and you were eating it, and I asked you, let's say before, and I told you it was spicy, I told you that this soup is spicy. Can you eat it, although it's spicy? And you say, oh, I can eat it. I can eat it. Although it's spicy, I can still eat it. So that's the none, okay? So that's able to do, even though blah blah blah. So even if it's spicy, I can still eat it, okay? So the next one, 可以, 可以. This is another, this the same, able to do something. Now, this 可以 is you're going to use this like, let's say, able to do, due to having the time to do so. So if I like, for example, if I ask you if you can go to, like, I'm going to go to the movies tonight, and I ask you, can you go to the movies? Are you able to go? Are you able to go to the movies with me? I will use 可以, and then if you're able, you will say, oh, 可以. If you're able to do it and you have time, you're going to use 可以. Okay, you're going to use 可以if you have the time. Now, 能, if you use 能 to say like, like let's say I've told you I'm going to see a certain movie tonight, and you wanted to go to the movies with me as well, but you wasn't you wasn't sure if I was going to watch a scary movie or whatever, adventure or whatever it is. I told you that well, the movie I'm going to see tonight is scary, and then I'll ask you, are you able to go see it? Can you go see it? It's scary, so are you still able to see it? And you will use none, because you're saying, despite it being scary, I can go. I mean, I don't care. Even if it's scary, I can still see it. Okay, there's nothing that will hold me back. I'm able to do that. Okay, now 可以 is you're going to use that if you're able to do it because you have time to do it. Okay, if you have time, then you want to use 可以. All right. Okay, the last one, 会. 会, able to do something again. Now, this one means able to do something, but the meaning is due to natural talent or learn something. So if you're able to speak Chinese, able to write Chinese, able to sing, anything having to do with some talent or something you learn, you use 会. If I ask you if you can speak Chinese, I'm going to use this 会, okay? So that these are very important to differentiate, because they all mean the same, but they all mean able to do something, but it depends on what the scenario is, okay? So I hope this was clear for you. I explained it clear enough for you to understand. But this is how you differentiate these words here, okay? I had problems with these. I was using the wrong one, but you see, over time, the mistakes fall in place. That's why I said, you go ahead and make mistakes. It's okay, because you're not going to keep making them forever. Eventually, they're going to fall in place. So don't get discouraged from, someone tells you that, oh, this is not right. You just learn from that mistake. Okay, we learn from mistakes. So it's inevitable. You're probably going to mix these up. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who's learned Chinese, they start learning Chinese, they mix these up a few times. So yeah, so this will conclude the video, and like I said, I hope I explained these tones clear enough for you to understand. And if you have any other questions, I will be happy to answer them and get them back to you ASAP. I know this video was lengthy, but I think this video is worth it's worth making for those who are just starting off with Chinese or